What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Athletes to Athletes podcast. Today, I happily get to talk with my former teammate, Darnell Corbin, a man that had my back on the football field at Wilkes University and now inspires me every day to attack my opportunities with the fullest heart. We dig into his athletic past, his extensive resume that includes some of the biggest brands in entertainment, and find out where he got the inspiration to create a social media community, all to motivate people to progress both mentally and physically. As you'll see, this conversation means a great deal to me, so I really hope that you enjoy it. And as always, I appreciate you listening to the A2A podcast. So today, I'm sitting down with a man who I had a chance to share a campus with, share the field with, be inspired by, Mr. Darnell Corbin. And I told him I could not wait to get him on this show because for so long, I could look at social media and, for the longest we were on the same campus. We talked basically every day, and then you graduate, you part ways, but always being able to look over and see my man doing his thing and really putting in that work was always the dopest part. And I had to start the show out by giving this man his flowers because I'm super inspired by him. Like I said, this is Darnell Corbin joining the show with me today. But Darnell, I'm going to give you the floor to start out. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from and a little bit about you.
Oh man, first of all, echoing that, man, like Ryan is my guy, so I'm super excited to be here as well. Name is Darnell, Darnell Corbin, to what Ryan said, and from New Brunswick, New Jersey, the heart of New Jersey. I like to say it's literally right in the middle of it. And I landed in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, almost 12 years ago now. Crazy saying that out loud, probably a little bit longer. And met Ryan, and like I said, man, something about football fields and lifelong relationships, man, it just goes hand in hand. So, I've been started with football, but always had a passion for entertainment. While I was in school, I had my radio show, got into DJing, which Ryan, we could talk about that, which landed me here now, in my current role. And I've been in the entertainment space since graduating college. Blessed to say that. A little detour for a year and a half where we could talk about that, but yeah, man, all things sports, all things entertainment just in me through and through since I was younger. So I'm excited to be here and talk about the journey with you.
Yeah. So from New Brunswick, part of that baller squad that I got a chance to play with that was from, New Brunswick. Always loved playing with y'all, loved hanging out with y'all because it was always real. It was always love. But what was it like growing up around in that area around so many dudes that were just going and getting after it? What was that
Man,
inspiration like, and what made you just want to be out there balling?
man, it was legit motivation. Like, I don't think there's ever been a run like that in New Brunswick from the year '02 to about '08. We had two Army All-Americans. We had two or three guys go to the NFL. Two of them that I know personally. And one two Super Bowl rings. We had over 15 plus Division I athletes, and I mean just to be around that. On the field aspect, it was great, but on top of that, man, these guys were like growing up in the inner city. It's tough to find like role models your age. These guys are not just great football players, man. They were getting it in the classroom. So they taught me how to be cool, right? They taught me that you could be cool, you could be smart, and get the girls, and nobody will mess with you at all either. So they were like honestly like my superheroes, um, you know. So I always to this day call them Big Bro. Guys like Jonathan Casillas, Dwayne Jarrett, Andre Dixon, who's like a UConn legend right now, in Connecticut. They had like a huge mural in the meeting room of this guy. He's cemented himself there, and that's just to name a few. So it was great, man. It definitely in eighth grade. I never forget eighth grade. It was Dwayne Jarrett's junior year when he first started getting the buzz. New Brunswick, we were down for a long time, so it was about the same time we were starting to get back to it. Coach John Quinn, shouts to Quinn, got started getting this back right. And I remember walking in the stadium, man, looking to my left, seeing USC, Virginia, colleges like that, still packed, cheerleaders. There was a chant that they did when you made touchdowns. And here I am, a 5'5", about a buck 40 at the time. My mom wouldn't let me play Pop Warner because it's church on Sundays. So I knew, like she said, when I got to high school, I could play football. So I was like, man, I can't wait to get this opportunity to do that. So once I got to high school, I knew I had to get to work. All the guys were playing in Pop Warner, so a lot of coaches knew him, and I just know I had to outwork everybody at a young age. And the gym became my friend. I'm like, listen, I know I can't grow, but if I can be stronger than everybody, you know what I mean? I can have a chance to play. And so, I remember scrimmaging against, younger underclass scrimmaging against varsity. And I think Dre, who was our running back, who played at UConn, I think he rushed for like 400 yards on us in the scrimmage. But getting our bumps and Jade and them not taking any shorts on us. And pretty much we lost one game my freshman year and we came back to school that Monday and they talked about us like we lost 17 games in a row. And so it motivated us and they held us to a standard, which I feel like it's always great, man, being, coming from your background and having the family and your big brother playing and who your
Hmm.
uncle is. You need people to remind you what that standard is and that sometimes what other people might think, oh, no, that's cool. Certain places that's not okay.
Hmm.
So throughout my high school year, I think I lost 4 games throughout my senior high school. Was there for 2 state championships. So man, just a great journey, man. New Brunswick is through and through. Got it tatted on me. I can go anywhere in the world, man, and I'm gonna always let everybody know I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Yeah. So, it was that big influence from that big stage that you eventually got a chance to play on, and but you weren't just like a one sport athlete. You were in multiple sports, but what was it about football that you knew that's where you belonged and that was going to be your ticket to that next level?
Oh man, I knew I was smart, but I knew I wasn't like full ride smart from an academic scholarship, right? Track, I love track, but I just knew I wasn't like full like super fast. Like I was good, we won the state championship. I was in high school. I was a part of that 4x4 team, but I was just the guy to make sure that no one passed us, right? That was my position on the third leg. It was like we had 3 speedsters. Like, yo, we gave you this baton. Just don't lose wherever you're at. Stay there. So that's where I was in track. For football, for me, it was like, man, listen, football is about dedication, drive, discipline, and those are things that you don't. No matter how tall you are, heart. Those, no matter how tall you are, how big you are, you can measure. Like basketball, you can be great at basketball, but if you're 5'5", 5'4", it's gonna be tough for you to make it around, with 6'3", 6'4" guys. But if you have heart, you got determination, you got hustle, all those tangible things, discipline, great leader, you can make it on a football field. So, once I realized that, I was like, all right, let's do it. And my freshman year, I came in, had to learn the game. Sophomore year, my coach wanted me to play varsity so bad. Not so bad, but he pushed me to make that a goal because as a sophomore, I'm just cool with JV and like he would
Hmm.
ride me, you know what I mean? And Coach Quinn definitely kind of brought a dog out of me that I needed. So going into my junior year, I was like, yeah, no, like, I'm coming for everything. I knew I can get it. I knew I can, even if I didn't get a scholarship, I can get some money to go to school. So after like my sophomore year, I stopped playing basketball because I knew I wasn't going to play ball. Like most kids in high school playing basketball, and I just stuck with track and football, gym, and running track. So those are like my two things. And it's crazy because the inner city sometimes people feel like this is your one outlet out of a situation. For me, I knew that it was assisting me into another step in my journey. Like I never had NFL on my mind. Like I never knew I was going to go to
Hmm.
the NFL, but I knew I had a gift that I can get to a certain point that can help me elevate not my life but just my family's life and like change the trajectory of like people from my school people from my family going to college, first person in my family to go to college. So changing that narrative there, being an example for my brothers and my sister and people from around my way coming back and being able to speak. So even at a young age, I just knew that's what I wanted to do, and football was that for me. So I leaned in heavy, and once I put all my chips, in the middle of the table for that, I just knew I had to just go full tilt.
Hmm. So now I remember when you and a couple of the New Brunswick boys came to campus for your visit to Wilkes, but what was it about Wilkes that brought you in? Because obviously there's a bunch of schools that are in Jersey and you
Right.
love your hometown and you are comfortable there. Being there is, you guys talk about it all the time. There's nothing like being from New Brunswick. But what was it about small town Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, that brought you in and kind of made you want to make that home?
So first it was, I knew I wanted to be away. I knew if I stayed in Jersey, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to lock in like I wanted to lock in. Being that I've been too close to home. And to be fully honest with you, I was looking at HBCUs, but then I'm like, I've been going to school with minorities my whole life. You know what I mean? I've been Black, Hispanic. That was the demo. 99% of my school. So I knew in order to be able to be in certain rooms or being able to just diversify myself, I wanted to go to a diverse school, you know. And so those two things are like my main reasons. All right, I know I want to do that. So those are like my non-negotiables. And then being that I wasn't tall enough, but I was good. You know, I was, you know, played in this top 30 All-Star game and stuff like that. But so college will come in and they'll see me on tape and they'll see me in person. And you know how that goes. They see you on tape, you look a little bit taller. You see you in person, you're getting called in. You know, my one guy went to Georgetown, and at the time, me and him was getting recruited around the same 1AA levels, like your Lehighs, your Lafayette, so schools like that. And you know, he ended up going 1AA, but I knew I had a couple of schools that told me if I come in, you know, you can sit, play special teams, you know, maybe your junior year we can get you on the field. We can offer you a partial, you can walk on. You know, I had a good game, a couple of great games where I had some people tell me, hey, you know, come and walk on. So I had all those things, but you know, when I went to Wilkes, Coach McCree was my recruiting coordinator. Shouts to Coach McCree. Man, Coach will call me every week, man. And I know when most stories starts like that, where it starts with who's your recruiter, and not just on some like, you know, hey, we want you here. Hey, how was your week going? How was school going? Books made me a priority, and that was the only school, you know, that outside of my, you know, my non-negotiables. Of course, your Montclair State, your Willie Pattersons, you know, they're in Jersey, they're in my backyard. But as far as what I was looking for, Wilkes made me a priority. And then when I went up there, I met you, Corey Tucker, Big J, Tricks, and it's like Big J's from Franklin, which is right by my way. I didn't grow up with him, but I just knew him, you know, being him from Franklin. Corey Tucker was from Plainfield, you know, hanging out with you guys on my visit. I'm like, all right, this is different because I'm not gonna lie, driving in these mountains past the Poconos, I'm like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But then I saw that, and then coach told me, you know, like, you know, he didn't promise me anything, which I didn't want. I just wanted an opportunity. Oh, can I play? Like, if I come in and I work my tail off, are you gonna give me an opportunity to play? So it was like, yeah. And then they put a financial aid package together for me, which that was another part. Like, yo, can I afford to come here? And
Mm,
Wilkes from the jump, man, always made me feel like family. Like this is where I needed to be. So, and that's before I even knew who, you know, all the, because we had such a good class that year. I didn't even know who was in my class. I know I was definitely on there. Ariel Adams, who was my roommate from New Brunswick, he ended up going there he wasn't even thinking of, Wilkes was like not his top priority. He was going somewhere else, and then he ended up circling back and coming to Wilkes. But for me, I just was like, it made me feel like family. They told me I can play, have an opportunity to play, and I would be far enough from home, but close enough if I need to hurry up and get back. And it
mm,
was an opportunity from be in different rooms outside of like your typical Black and Hispanic rooms that I'm accustomed to.
yeah.
So and then I can jump right into my major. I was a big on communications. I wanted to be the next Stuart Scott. Rest in peace. That was like one of my main people that I looked up to growing up. And they had WCLH. We had a good recording studio, and they said that most schools said you have to come in and after your sophomore year you can have access to that. And Wilkes told me I can have access to that off the jump. So I'm like, here we come, Wilkes-Barre. So I ended up in Wilkes-Barre, PA.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel you on that, Stuart Scott, man. That's exactly why I wanted to be a sports journalist, excuse me, a sports journalist, and really get into this entertainment side. But unlike you, I didn't know. I had no idea, right? Like, I changed my major a couple of times. I have an English degree where yours is a comm degree, right? So, like, we're in the same world of entertainment, but we definitely did it in two totally different ways, and you knew what you
Right,
wanted to do.
right,
how did you know what you wanted to do at such a young age? Because like I said, I had no idea, and I was 2 years ahead of you, right? And I still was
right.
figuring it out when you were coming in. How did you know that that was the space for you?
Oh man, so ESPN every day. Like Stuart Scott made like it's so dope to watch ESPN, right? He made it like a top 10 feel like it's a typical, of course, a dunk, a layup, a goal, a touchdown. But the booyahs and all that stuff was dope. I was a big fan of music, so like I listened to Funk Flex, on the radio and all that stuff. Man, I just love music and I love entertainment. So I'm like, all right, cool. I know I didn't want your typical 9 to 5 where it's like wake up, wear a shirt and tie, go to work. Although they wore shirts and ties back then on ESPN, but it was just a cool aura about it, right? So I knew that. So I'm like, all right, cool. I had like the foundation. I know I wanted to be in entertainment. Um, and then as I got into it, I just started learning the insides and out of it, right? Understanding that it's deeper than just having a microphone in front of you. You could be a journalist, you could write, you can be in marketing, you can be in brand management, you can, work in different departments inside the entertainment space. And once I knew that, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm gonna try this radio and TV thing out, but I know that's not the end all be all. For me, I just always just had a passion for it. So I would and we can get into this later or now. But while I was there, I ended up interning at Power 105, and that kind of really like fed that beast of like, all right, this is what I want to do. Like, I don't care what I have to do it. If I had to, work in a small market and work my way back up, or however the case may be, I was willing to take that. And my mom, she's from St. Croix. She's a island girl. And so growing up in, most West Indian parents, they have this, especially when they don't grow up in the States, they have this mindset of like, oh, you go to school, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you have a good, even though my mom was super dope with like understanding my path, but it's not like this is something that we talked about, but once I told her like in high school what I really, really wanted to do, man, I think that was another part. Like she supported that. And it wasn't anything financial. She didn't put me in any class. It's just like just her being like, all right, cool. That's dope. I think that was enough for me to be like, all right, let's get it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, it was just it just always something that been in me, and it always been an itch of mine.
Yeah. And I remember the radio show. It was something that, for everybody listening, I may be the one running this show right now, but we used to tune in for Darnell's show whenever it was on. Like
Yeah.
it was a vibe. Like we would just tune into it because then after that, Darnell's was coming over and we were all gonna hang out anyway. So
Right,
it was
right,
always just dope to hear my man on the radio because like I said, back then we didn't really know much about that, right? Like
right,
it was newspapers, it was a little bit of TV, and it was radio. You didn't have podcasts that much. You didn't have a lot of the
right,
things that we now have. So like sitting back and like listening to your boy on the radio and having him have guests calling in and he's spinning records and he's getting the vibe going. That was what got the night going for us because we were just happy to
yeah,
hear
yeah, yeah,
one of us doing it, and he knew we were
yeah.
listening. And he was always vibing, so it was always dope. And and that's the thing is, I never truly asked you what made you get into that. But I remember when you were with Power 105, how did you go from, small town WCLH to Power 105 and get that internship?
Oh man, so the great thing about WCLH, as Ryan just stated, it's the only hip hop radio station in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Like there's other stations, but none of them played hip hop consistently, like we had the luxury of doing, and we had free range to play whatever we want as long as it was clean and as long as you stayed within the guidelines of the radio station, right? So I knew that, so I took full advantage of that. I'm like, cool. I'm familiar with playing back home. I know it's hot, so I started like just living up there. DJ Mo was a radio DJ. He passed away unfortunately, but that's like the test. He was like the reason why I really like started getting into it, taught me ins and out of it. And so I had that a lot of things that a lot of other kids didn't have. I mean, kids in college didn't have was that opportunity to have full range and be like the main station there. So I had interned at 100.3 to be in Philly, sophomore year going into my junior year, but it was the intern coordinator left and we kind of got fell in the wayside, so I couldn't get official credits for it because I didn't do enough hours. Um, but I had that on my resume, and then I sent in like some of like the stuff I was doing on WCLH, and I had that on my resume and what I was doing there, and I just shot my shot. Like one day, I remember, I'll never forget. I'm in my dorm room, and I'm just applying to internships, and I just applied to this Clear Channel one, and I applied to be on air programming. Like I wanted to do on air stuff, but I ended up getting in the marketing department, right? And I was like, you know what? Cool, let's do it. And I'll never forget. I was coming home from Thanksgiving break. Um, I pulled in front of my mom's house, and I got a call. And like you said, this is before like all this technology stuff, right? It's like they call your house, they call your cell phone, they call your house phone. If they don't, they'll leave a voicemail. And we back then we actually checked voicemails. They called my house and they called my cell phone. And I remember the voicemail and I was like, all right, let's get it. So being that I was from Wilkes-Barre, I had to go back to school and ask my advisor, Jane. Actually, I called her during break. I was like, hey, Jane, I have this great opportunity to intern at one of the big radio stations. I'm giving her the background, how important it is to me. But I'm like, I go to school 2.5 hours away from here. There's no way for me to be able to be on campus and then still fulfill this internship. So Jane was like, all right, let me make a couple of calls. So man, Jane, she called a couple of people for me. By the time winter break came, she was like, look, we're going to give you 12 credits to intern there. She was like, so that's unheard of. Like most of the time you get 3 credits, 6 credits. And that's another thing, man. I love Wilkes for that. They gave me 12 credits. They gave me like that's the only thing that you have to focus on. And if you want to add more to that, you can take some classes at your local community college so you don't get behind on your general education courses. She was like, it's going to be some extra work for you because I had to take summer class. I had to do um class at the community college and I had to do winter classes the final year to graduate on time because of that sacrifice. But I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And it helped me because most kids was juggling school and internships, and all I had to do was focus on my internship and take one. I took a science class at a community college, so I'm taking one regular class, and the rest of the time I'm focusing on working. So I'm there. Most kids are doing like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm doing Thursdays. I'm Friday. Like, bro, I'm like grinding it out, and I started me like getting a name and some recognition within the company on some of the stuff that I was doing. And for me, I always just felt like I had a great personality. So I just like, man, if I just get in the room, I can make my presence felt. And because I had that opportunity to take 12 credits, man, I was able to land at at the time, it was up and coming at the time because at the time,
Hmm.
Hot 97 still was the top. And so Power was like getting their legs and their footing as they've been blessed to carry their way up. But uh, yeah, so while I was there, man, I just did my thing and ended up, essentially picking that over football the next year. I didn't play my senior year because I was like had an opportunity to intern at the Breakfast Club and continue to intern at Power 105. So I did that. They actually offered me a job, and it's funny, and we can talk about that. I couldn't take the job because my license. I had 2 speeding tickets before the age of 21. And kids, that's very important. Like you don't think that it matters. So they offered me the job, and I never forget. I was heartbroken because they offered me the job. I'm excited. Everybody's like, I'm working at Power. Then I get a call and said they did my background check, and they have to insure you because as a part of the promotions department, you have to be able to drive the vehicles back and forth to site. And they didn't. Their company policy they didn't want to insure me because of my driving record. At the time, I had 6 points on my license or something like that. But you're 6 points on your license at 20, 2021, it wasn't good. So again, a life lesson for me. But I was blessed enough while I was there. The dope part about I think like one of my stories that I don't tell often, but for my boy Ryan, while I was there, I actually was a part of the crew that brought the Breakfast Club to life. So this was like we were in like a meeting, and at the time they asked me like they was asking a whole bunch of interns like what do you listen to, and I told them I straight up listen to Hot 97. I'm like, hey, listen, I listen to Hot 97, and they're like, all the interns were like, oh, like you're tripping. But at the time, it was like they had like just a younger host, Cypher Sound. it was a Black Puerto Rican and Jew was their tagline. It was Cipher Sounds,
Hmm.
Rosenberg, and I think it was K Fox who was it. And so I told them like what I did, what I liked. Me and my homegirl, we told them our honest opinion. They told me to sit back, and I stayed back, and we talked it out. And I was like, look, man, I just interned at with Charlemagne at this spot, and he got fired. It'll be dope to do that. And then Angela Yee, I knew it was like Angela Yee did lip service at the time on Sirius Radio. I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, listen, if we can get Angela Yee, that'll be fire. And I said, any DJ. I didn't say Envy, but I was like, if we get any DJ to go with that, that would be a nice little mix. And I was in my dorm room, and my homegirl called me and was like, you will not believe it. She was like, yo, remember that conversation we had? Go online. So I went online. I'm like, oh shoot, like I so me being a young kid, I'm like, I emailed the programmer. I was like, hey, I saw that you guys, trying to figure out a word without saying use my idea, in a political way or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to intern, like, and he was like, sure. So I came back and I interned for the Breakfast Club. But I think like for me, that's like understanding what an intern is, right? I know most people, I never want anything out of that or like try to like make a big deal of it all, but that's like one of the personal things that I keep with me as far as like, man, that was pretty dope that I was a part of that process. I didn't make anything happen outside of just giving some ideas, but to see that to come to fruition, man, it was a dope experience and all worth me, taking those 12 credits and being there.
Yeah, but I mean, it speaks to being in the right place at the right time and having a seat at a table that you would never expect to really have a seat at, right? And these
Right,
days, everybody's like, I don't need a seat at the table. I'll build my own table now, right? But
right,
like
yeah, right,
back then, you needed somebody to pull out a chair or at least say, "Hey, you can
bro,
stand in the corner and listen." And that's really what it was for us back then. And you made the most of that opportunity, and that was the big deal. And then you parlayed that into so much more stuff, man. You got into DJing, and for those listening and watching right now, like after this, like I'm gonna make sure that D Nels' LinkedIn is in the description because you got to go look at this man's LinkedIn because he's talking about Breakfast Club and Power 105 and Hot 97, but he's got CNBC. I'm looking at it right now. He's got Paramount, he's got Slam Magazine, and then now he's at Live Nation. So
yeah,
talk
man.
about your career path and how it all worked for you, right? How did you make all of these things happen and continue to build?
Man, first I'm like just cliche answers like, bro, I am super blessed with like some of the opportunities I've been able to like not only create for myself, but other people has given me opportunities for. Because like you just said, you could be the I tell people all the time, there's a million people that do this, right? There's a million people that want to be in our position. But what makes you great at what you do is not only just opportunity, but actually having some skills and being able to, articulate yourself, whether that's in interviews, whether that's when you're reporting wrestling or whatever the case may be. For me, number one, I just had just a hunger about me. Even when I was interning at Power, my senior year when I was with the Breakfast Club interning, I had to take one class at Wilkes-Barre, the senior capstone. Senior capstone, that senior class, and they only served it on Tuesdays at night. So I would legit drive from Jersey to PA, sleep in Bev's, well, my apartment with Bev, but he ended up taking it over when I left. Um, go there, take a nap, go to class, leave class, hop back in my car, drive back home to catch the last train into the city so I can be on time for my internship because it's a morning show. So I have to be in there by 5 a.m. Yeah, so I had to like drive back, and so that was like a grind. So that grind kind of taught me like what's it gonna take to make it in this industry. Because again, it's one of those things where a lot of everybody wants to do it, everybody would love to do it, but a lot of people don't know what it takes in the grind. All they see is the accolades and the companies and stuff like that. So when I graduated college, it's funny because Big J's gonna he hates me for this, but when I graduated from Charlotte, Big J got me an interview at Enterprise, and I love you, Big J, but I didn't show up for the interview. I had like to find an interview, but I ended up getting this job working for a small company paying a third of what Enterprise was gonna pay me at the time. And it was like, to be honest, it was like $600 every 2 weeks. It was nothing. It was like $1,200 a month. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew that if I took this job working for this small entertainment company in the city, that I'll get put in the right rooms that can help just kind of, you have to kind of paint a picture to the public of like that you are somebody in a way. I know it sounds fake, but it's like, being in certain rooms, being next to certain people, being in certain places. Those are all things that I kept in mind when I was like strategizing how I wanted to be in the position that I wanted to be in as like when I got older. So I took the job, was able to rub elbows with some people. Um, they ended up shutting down the website, and I had to make a decision. So I ended up working for a small recruiting company. It was, they did IT recruiting. I did it for a year and a half. I'm like, yeah, this is not. So I ended up, I was like, create my LLC. So I created Team Tri-State Promotions LLC. And I was like, if I can create an LLC and work for myself, I can kind of formulate my own role. I can formulate my own, like kind of curate my own resume. Right? So I was DJing, of course, it was under that LLC. I was throwing events. I was taking on like small boutique clients, putting together marketing plans for them. So this when social media started getting like cool at the time, it was just Twitter and Facebook. Then
Mm-hmm.
Instagram came about. And so I was in MySpace. So I was just doing all that stuff. And then after a while, I realized I took a step back. I'm like, because I wanted to get back. DJ and all that was great. I did that for 4 years, but I'm like, you know what? I ended up becoming a dad, and I'm like, I got to start thinking the future. I can't just think like month to month or like doing cool stuff. So as I'm trying to figure out how to get back into like use my degree, right? Always, that's what I tell kids: go to school because you can fall back on your degree. I know school isn't the cool thing, and everybody's telling you not to go to college, be an entrepreneur, go to school. So I ended
Go
up
to school.
knowing I had a degree, knowing I had a degree, and I was like, all right. So I just started like putting together, thinking about all the stuff I did, right? My internship at the Power 105, I did that for 2 years. Okay, cool. I got 2 years of experience there, and okay, I've been doing this for 4 years. So technically, I got like 5 or 6 years of experience. I just got to figure out a way to articulate it, and so put my resume on the market. It's funny, CNBC called a recruiter called from CNBC, and the whole time it was a third party recruiter, right? Because they wanted somebody to come in as a contractor. And the whole time I'm on there, he's telling me it's NBC, 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 NBC. So I get on the interview and I'm like, hey man, I watch NBC all the time. I'm naming all NBC shows and all this stuff. And the guy is Steve Smith, man, love him to death, gave me an opportunity. He was like, this is for CNBC, right? Mind you, I did no research on CNBC. So at this point, I'm like, oh, I didn't get this. Like, like this is done. I was like, I'm done. And at the same time, I was, like I said, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I applied to become a state trooper. Right? I'm like, well, forget it. At this time, I just want to make some money. I'm a dad. I'm nervous. When you become a father, one thing you instantly don't think about yourself. And I don't want to say I panicked, but I just wanted to be able to provide the way I should provide as a
Mm-hmm.
dad. Um, but state police, they ended up denying my application because I was in so deep into the hip hop community, hip hop scene. Like I worked for allhiphop.com. I was interviewing with Snoop Dogg. I was doing interviews with Casanova, all these rappers. So they thought I, for whatever reason, affiliated in some way with like, smoking and doing some of the. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I just got denied from that. I just got denied from that, and then I had this interview with NBC. I thought, which was really CNBC, and I thought I killed that. So I'm in a space right now. I'm just like, man, I don't know what I'm about to do. I'm just gonna have to kick it up with this DJ thing. So I'm formulating this plan for myself, right? And I'm laying in my bed, and I get a call from the recruiter saying that they wanted me to come on a 3 month contract at CNBC. So I'm like, cool. And it was like, I'm like, is it just contract? He was like, well, it's contract until they find somebody to fill the role. I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, if I get this role, I'm not getting out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so,
That's gonna be mine.
that's go, bro. I'm like, listen, I just need my foot in the door. Let me get my foot in the door. So it came, I got the role, and 3 months into it, they were, and it's funny because, I didn't think corporately they have to interview more people, right? So even if they
Mm-hmm.
want you, by law or for whatever reason, they have to interview. They have to bring other candidates in. And I'm a coordinator, so I'm legit walking people up to interview for this role that I'm trying to get. My VP would be like, "Hey, Darnell, I got an interview. Can you?" And then come and interview for my job because I'm asking them, "Hey, what you here for?" I'm interviewing for the coordinator position. I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking like I'm not gonna get. I'm like, damn, they don't like me. But anyway, I ended up locking and rolling, and from there, man, I just was like, I'm just gonna be a sponge and just work my butt off, man. And I just worked, was staying late, helping out where I can, being a sponge, and also taking on roles, jobs that nobody else wanted to do. And I think for
Mhm.
people who are coming in as like a coordinator, as an intern, there's always you thinking high level. Sometimes it's not even high level. Sometimes it's just learning how to hook up the computer in the conference room, learning how to send, do things that nobody else wants to learn in the company, right? Inventory in the closet, being the person who knows how much swag is in there. And I took that serious. Like I was like, I'm gonna. So I learned. I worked with our AV guy, our IT guy. So I was an IT guy, the AV guy. I knew the ins and outs. I ended up doing the finances for our department. I ended up learning how to, book travel. So I knew how that and all this stuff that sounds like, man, I'm not doing that. I was did it. So it made it hard for me to be, somebody that they could replace. And also I learned a lot. So I was there, but while I was there, at a lot of places, you realize that, there comes a line where you kind of want to elevate yourself. And although,
Mhm.
CNBC was phenomenal to me, man, I still talk to people from there to this day. I just felt like, I wanted to elevate myself a little bit faster. So I had the opportunity at Paramount that came about, interviewed there. And again, another journey. I applied for that job in February. A recruiter reached out to me. I applied in February. I didn't get hired till July, bro. So I'm in this interviewing process from February to July. I interviewed the most I've ever did in my life. I did two presentations, um, but you know, I thought it was done. They actually denied me for a job, and then they called me back and said they had another opportunity they wanted me to interview for. Again, persistent, just staying the course, and so I did that. And ended up landing at Paramount, which I was on MTV VH1 and Work a Love and Hip Hop, did the VMAs, put together some dope documentaries for Ancestry.com while I was there, and then had the opportunity to come about at Slam to be the director of marketing, which at the time to me was a dream job. I thought it was going to be my dream job. So I had a great boss at Paramount, I had a great system at Paramount. And I'm like, I was always thinking like level up, right? And it could be a gift and a curse
Mhm.
because you start chasing money instead of chasing opportunity. And that was always my foundation. I've always told myself, if you find the right opportunity, the money will come. And that was always my thing. I think how much it costs, I mean, how much I was going to get paid. All I cared about was how can this better me for the future. And then to be honest with you, Slam to me was more so opportunity for me to make more money, and I actually liked it. I liked the brand. Obviously, playing the sports, I know the brand. I thought it was great, but I had a great thing at Paramount. Like I had a great thing, great boss, great team. So I left Slam in October. I mean, I left Paramount in October to start at Slam, and then I ended up getting laid off in February. So I got laid off in February. It was like from me and a lot of people on LinkedIn. I feel like I was going on LinkedIn every day around that time, and everybody was getting laid off.
Mhm.
But I was only there for 6 months, man. I felt like I made this wrong move. I'm like, questioning my decisions and all that good stuff. And been blessed, man, just by number one, just having good interviewing skills. I feel like everybody should take like some interpersonal courses, improv. I took improv classes, acting classes. I've taken speech and debate at Wilkes. And people are like, why should I? Even if you have no intention of being an actor, no intention of being improv, no intention of being a journalist or working a mic, those are just tangible skills that you can use throughout your day to day.
Mhm.
Being quick on your feet, being able to answer questions, being able to present yourself, or and articulate your words without in and having to think for a little bit. So I've been blessed, man. I was out of work for 6 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm complaining about that, but I'm just like in hindsight, man, I know people who've been out for a year. So, and I'm out here, I'm at Live Nation, man, and I'm, senior brand manager here. And I couldn't ask for a better bounce back. This company is phenomenal. Obviously, everybody knows that they put together pretty much every show in America or in the world. Um,
Mhm.
Between that and Ticketmaster, and having those two things work hand in hand, it's just been a great opportunity. I'm here for almost a month and a half, about 5 weeks, so fairly new. But again, it's everything that you've been doing throughout your life leads up to these moments, and everybody thinks when they see Live Nation, oh man, you did this, you did that, but they didn't know I was sleeping in train stations because the last train didn't leave and I had to wait for that, or I happened to drive back and forth to Wilkes or the nose, right? I applied when I got laid off, I applied for like 123 jobs. I'm gonna be real, and only got deep in like two or three interviewing process, maybe. Um, so, but I told myself that I just get one opportunity. So those are just all the things you got to be prepared for because industry is very, I don't want to say cutthroat, but it's so many people trying to get in that it's tough for you to like try to like make your way. You can't just wake up one day, and I don't think people really understand the grind, to get to where you are. So all those things led up to here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's you always got to be seeking opportunity, man. I mean, I love within all of that. I love the message of doing the little things, and whether it was seeing the little things that you were doing. We were on campus and we were teammates of just being in the gym, or making sure that you were on time, making sure that other people were on time, and or just like helping people out. I mean, there were times where I didn't understand something, and I was like, "Nels, what are we doing on this play?" And you'd be like, "Listen, this is
Yeah.
where I'm at. This is what you got." You know what I mean? Because after you came in, I was a strong safety then, and we were on the same side sometimes, so I
Right,
would
right.
rely on you. So just seeing those things from somebody who was a couple years older than you was always a big deal. But now, like, we talked about the career and everything else, but I want to get back a little bit to the sports side because every morning there's a different post on a certain Instagram page that you created that was honestly was nothing but a hashtag for us for a while. When I saw you post
Right.
it, I was like, I'm adopting that. I love it, right? I want to be part of that group. But now it's more of a movement and people are in on it. We got merch, there's all kinds of stuff, right? And we're rocking it. Where did that come about? And what made you fully dive in and truly create that platform?
Oh man, to your point, like it started on a hashtag and honestly just on some like I don't know if you worked out today, but if you didn't, I got you. So we worked out today. On some just funny thing,
Yeah.
right? And it was on, hashtag we working out today. Fitness has always been as an athlete, I feel like you never stop, having an itch to figure out either compete or work out or figure out a way to keep yourself motivated or stay in shape post play. So me being in the gym, so I was working out. Then after graduating college, you kind of take your diet for granted, right? Because in college you don't realize
Hmm.
that you're practicing, you're walking around, you're moving around, you're constantly doing stuff. So I can go to Crown's Chicken, I can eat ramen noodles, I can go to the calf and eat whatever because we're burning so much calories at practice and all that stuff. So when I stopped playing, I was just powerlifting, no cardio, and I ended up blowing up. Like, and I saw one of my homegirls, and she kind of was like, without being rude, she was just like, "Oh man, someone like how they oh you eating good." I was like, "I don't like that. I don't like that." Like, I don't think she knew that hit me in a different way. Like, she didn't mean no ill malice by it, but it was just like, nah. So I just started taking it serious, man. I started incorporating running, and even then, like people see my miles now. It's like, but when I started running, I was doing like 13, 14 minute miles. Cause we're football players, bro. We run in spurts. Like we
Yeah.
we never
Those plays last 5 seconds. That's about
have
it. You get
seconds, bro.
5 seconds and that's it.
5 seconds, and you're done. You don't have to worry about running a mile for what? Like, no. But I knew cardio was important for me to trim down, so I started working out and I got into fitness, and I realized like the importance of building a brand, right? Because everybody knew me for DJing, but being that when you become a brand, and I think that's the difference between like people who like trying to figure out what they really want to do. When you become a brand, there's a reason why Jay-Z can come tomorrow with a liquor, even though he's a rapper, and people want to go crazy for it. Or Beyonce can sell clothes because they're a brand and people buy into the brand. So I started becoming a brand with the DJ, D-Nails and personality, doing interviews and being with these rappers, doing things like that. And I was like, I'm just gonna tell people I do fitness now. And again, I was self-employed. I needed more ways to make some money. So I got this fitness course and I just started like studying up on it. And I was like, I needed some more ways to make money from just a hustler's mindset. So I'm just like, all right, I do fitness now. And everyone was like, all right, cool. So
Yeah.
I started training people. And then again, I started this hashtag, man. That's where the love of the fitness, that's where like the actual business side of the fitness came. And I started this hashtag. And then I was big on owning stuff, right? I see a lot of people sometimes they they create stuff and they don't own it, right? They have these dope sayings, or you see all these legal battles where people are like, well, I started that phrase, and they're like, well, you didn't trademark it, or you didn't do this. So, with me, I was like, all right, before I'm gonna use this hashtag. And once I saw enough people, like again, you were a big part of that jump off. Like that's why I sent you at the time a free shirt because that's all I could afford at the
Mhm.
time with a new business. But I'm like, man, it was people like you, and other people who were using the hashtag that made people want to feel like, oh, I need to be a part of this community. And so once I started getting that community vibe, I just trademarked the phrase. We worked out today. Um, and so I was like, let me get my business first. And then once I got the business side together, I started the Instagram, and it's just been in. And the main purpose of that, because I've had people come in and they tell me like, want to come in as partners and invest and all that stuff. But I tell people all the time, man, I'm blessed. I make money. Like I got my job. I've been blessed to like make good money throughout my, over the last couple of years or whatever. I'm like, bro, I want to have something where people don't feel pressured. If you like what I do, buy a t-shirt. If you don't, I'm
Mhm.
still gonna give you game. People call me all the time, asking for fitness advice. I do, at the time during the pandemic, I was training a little bit because I had more time, so I went back to training. But for the most part, I want people to wake up if they don't feel like working out. Either I motivate them, or when I retweet you or your brother who's up at 5 a.m. all the damn time with me,
Yeah.
he's part of my morning crew. I retweet people like that, and or people can have that sense of like, all right, well, I don't have to be super cock diesel. I don't have to be an influencer to be in shape. Man, this guy is a family man. He's a dad. He has kids. Okay, he can work out. Okay, this guy, he travels. He does work. Okay, oh, he works out. Oh, this mother of three. And so that's where people started getting that sense of community, and that's what like I lean on. That's what we worked out today is just a community of people motivating each other to work out each and every day. And my thing is if I can touch people through messages, and then I started just at first I was just going to post workouts, and then I realized the power is in the message, right? I just felt like
Mhm.
there's a million people working out online. I can go to places, but when you come to the page, I want you to, whether you like it or not, like you don't have to like it, comment. It's not about engagement. I just want you to watch the video, and if it hits you, that's all I love. Like I've had people message me and was like, man, like you don't understand this message here and what it did for me. I had somebody reach out to me from jail one time, which I don't know if that was legal for him to be in jail with Instagram, but he just told me like, hey, I'm about to come home, and on my dark days when I was like going through what I was going through, man, watching your videos kept me going. So man, that's bigger than any check. You can't write a check big enough for that, because that's what character is interchangeable. Like you can use that anywhere. So that's what we worked out today. Came in, and it started from football, man. I know, me. I just always had like a aura about me where people just love to adapt to. My in high school I was a captain, and then just through my work ethic, and then when I got to Wilkes, I was a captain for a year, and it was more so just by just grinding. So I implemented that when we worked out today. I'm like, I'm just gonna show you how to grind, and then if you guys like it, rock with me. I'm not asking you to do much. I'm not trying to sell you anything. So when I go out there and people see me bike 50 miles or run 14 miles, or work out or show discipline and being up every day at a certain time, I think that's where people just adapt to it, and that's what kind of helps we worked out today grow. Had to take a step back. I ended up getting had to get surgery in October, so it had me down for like 5 6 months. But I'm blessed to be out of a cast and back to doing what I love to do, and trying to finish the year off strong with that and continue to grow the brand. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out a way to elevate it, which I have an idea. So you just got to execute it and do that. But the core will always be people first, man. The core will always be, um, doing stuff that will benefit people who need to be, who needs that resource, and they don't want to pay $400 for someone to tell them something that they can Google. But I think that's what people forget. You could Google all this stuff if you really took the time out to Google it.
Yeah.
But people don't have, people invest in other things, and I want people to feel like if you want to do that, fine. Like I'm not knocking people's hustle. Like that's great, and people's build great businesses off of that. But I just want to be a resource to those who don't have the means or who don't want to do that. Because sometimes all you have is a question. Why have to pay a $50 course when you want to know two things, right? So that's we worked out today in a nutshell, man, and I couldn't be more happier, man. I love it, and I tell myself all the time, like 10 years from now, I can see myself like really like diving deeper into fitness, you know, and really try my whether I don't know if it's a gym or something like that, but just something there with fitness in me that I want to explore deeper than where we are now. We worked out today just like scratching the surface. So I'm excited to what the future is going to hold there.
Yeah, man, and I love it. You know, like I said, it's one of them first posts that I see in the morning, checking out the story, and you know, you got Inky, you got a lot of these dudes that are doing a lot of the inspirational stuff that I try and pay attention to, but it's a little different when it's somebody I know I could shoot a text to and be like, "Yo, good morning, my guy. Like, appreciate the post this
Yeah,
morning, right?" Like, it's a lot different
right.
when it comes from somebody that you know is grinding, right? So, I appreciate that, but we're gonna get into the 5 questions portion. Like I said, it's a little quick,
Let's
a
do
little
it.
off the dome. And you got the improv classes, you got the acting, so I know we're gonna get
Let's do
into
it.
it pretty quickly here.
Let's get it.
Um, what is we're gonna go sports first. What's a game you'll never forget playing in?
Oh, I never get. Okay, it's my junior year. We played Colonia High School. The school Eric LeGrand actually went to this high school. And I don't know, for some reason Colonia always just had good games. Like I don't know if it was I had bad. Eric LeGrand ran me over one time, but I always had good games with Colonia. Outside of that one hiccup where he like steamrolled me. But yeah, so Colonia had 5 carries, 114 yards, for 2 touchdowns. It should have been three, but I cut back because I didn't trust my speed, and the guy ended up tripping me up. And I'm getting WCTC Player of the Game, which is like pretty much like your local radio station Player of the Game. And I had this plaque and it's big right up in the newspaper. Um, and that game I'll never forget because I played. If you ever played in a wing tee, you know the wing tee. There's so many people touching the ball because you have the quarterback who could keep it, the fullback, the left half, the right half, and I was a right half, and my specialty was defense. I was a cornerback, and so they would preserve me on offense, I would say. So I blocked and I touched the ball 10 times a game. And I knew like I gotta make these 10 count. I wasn't no bell cow.
Mhm.
So it was raining that day. I never forget. It was raining, so that was in my advantage. If you play football, you know the advantage is offense when it's a wet field. So yeah, that game 5 for 114. Although I would say a state championship, but that's more team. I'm thinking more me, and that's my me game right there.
That's the me game right there. Who's somebody you looked up to, either as a young athlete or somebody you look up to now, that really inspired you?
I would say now. I would say LeBron James now. I mean, we know all the dope stuff that he's doing. But when I was 13, I was going in high school when he got drafted, and my dad took me to Cleveland, Ohio, just so I can feel the atmosphere. We ended up going to see the NFL Hall of Fame, but before we did, we just showed through Cleveland and that atmosphere, bro. Like that's why, I've never seen someone come in with so much hype that people were legit deemed him the savior to save a town, a franchise, and all that stuff. And not only did he do that, but like he's never been in a tabloid for anything negative. And I try not to put too much into athletes and people and entertainment because they're people, and I feel like sometimes you hold them to a pedestal that we forget that they're human beings, and so
Hmm.
when they do mess up, we chastise them in ways that most people wouldn't get chastised. But to see that what he's built, man, and the most impressive part is he brought his boys with him. I think that's all our dream, man, is to make it, and not only make it with people you actually like, right? Not just people that you meet in business and you got to do business with. Just these are people that whether he was a millionaire or somebody who worked at your local wherever, these are people he would still hang out with. So the fact that they're all million and billionaires, man, I truly admire that. I would say growing up, it was Dion and Barry. If I had to pick somebody, Dion for the swag and Barry just because Barry was just the best running back to ever do it, in his opinion. But he was just that guy. And Thanksgiving Day, you watched the Barry Sanders rush for 200 yards every year. The only time Lions got on TV, really. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, what was the first opportunity for you that solidified that you were doing the right thing as a professional, not as an athlete, but as a professional? That first opportunity where you were like, I belong here.
Oh man, I would say my internship. Like I would say my internship because I remember one time we did a karaoke night with Jason Derulo, and um, it was a meet and greet for his fans. It was for Z1. It was I worked. It was Clear One. It was Power 105, but it was Clear Channel. We had multiple radio stations, so Sometimes you did 0-100, sometimes you did Q 104.5 or whatever, 104.3. And so at this time I was doing Jason Derulo, and they needed somebody to break the ice, like because people were acting shy, no one would do karaoke. And man, I just hopped on the mic. I'm just like, boom, hit the mic. On top of that, I was able to like set up. I knew what I was doing. I felt comfortable in the room. I wasn't nervous. I did karaoke. I'm like, boom. And Jason Derulo loved it. Elvis Duran, he has a morning show on Z100. I remember the next day, his assistant came downstairs to the intern, and he was like, "Hey, they want you to come upstairs and talk to you on the radio." I'm like live? He was like, "Yeah, live." Like, so I went upstairs and I sat down with Elvis Duran, and that, like, that was like a dope moment because all the interns like, "Yo," and that's when everybody around me, like my boss and who I was, it was like, man, like, all right, because they sung my praises on the radio. I sang a song, I forgot what it was. But at that moment, I'm like, yo, I belong. This is what I want to do. Like, I don't know how it's gonna happen, what's gonna happen, and whether it's be on camera, behind the scenes, but I need to be here, and I know I belong here because I just have a thing that a lot of people don't have. I'm not trying to sound cocky or arrogant about, but it's just something to me personally, from a confidence standpoint, I just knew I had that. So during my internship, and I had a couple moments in that area around that time, and being able to be around celebrities without getting starstruck. I just always just was like, that's part of it because sometimes people end up losing their jobs because of they don't know how to control themselves in certain rooms. I always just felt
Mhm.
comfortable in those rooms. So me being comfortable in there made solidified that this is where I need to be.
Yeah. What's a goal? I know, we talk about leveling up and, never being too big for the small stuff. What's a goal of yours that you have on that list that's next for you?
Oh man, what's next for me? I would say definitely like growing in my purpose, man. And it's not like your typical goal, but I feel like growing in my purpose means perfecting where I'm at now, so that eventually one day I would love to be like a VP, or like running my own team. But in order for me to do that, I have to perfect it now, walk in my purpose, not chase the monetary things or the things that I feel are like glitter and gold at the time, but literally staying grounded in my current position and then take it from there. And then on the other side is elevating some entrepreneur opportunities that I want to do. Me personally, Damon John said it the best, Shark Tank, CNBC reference, right? Shout out to them. Damon John, and he says like a lot of people make the mistake where they feel like you can't live your passion and then still work a 9 to 5, right? Um, and you just got to find a place that allows you to do both, right? And to be both. So I don't have this thing where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try to get to we worked out today to this and leave my job. I love what I do, so I'm gonna try to make both work for as long as possible. So I would say level up, walk in my purpose, try to get to like a VP level on the corporate side. Hopefully one day run like a whole vertical into team. And then also elevate. We worked out today and take that to as far as it go on top of some other things that I have, on pen and paper that I need to bring to life. So, those are my next two goals.
Yeah. So to wrap up, like I said, I told you when we were prepping, is I always love to finish everything out with a piece of advice, something that somebody told you, something you learned, or something that really resonated with you, or maybe it's something off the dome. You're talking advice every single morning, so you know, leave us with a piece of D Nell's advice before we close up today.
Man, my advice would be understand that your race is going to be different than anybody else's race, and as long as you understand that, then you'll be able to wake up every day excited about who you are as a person. Too often, especially in the social media days and era, too often we get caught up in what everybody else is doing that we forget to run our race. Um, so forget about who's got this car, who's rocking that. Forget about if you're a 35-year-old, 40, 45-year-old starting your career. Man, run your race, man. Because at the end of the day, if you could do that, whatever's for you will be for you. And so that's like my gem, and I hope someone takes that to heart because it's true. Do your thing and do your thing well, and good things will happen.
Yeah. Now this has been a dope convo, man. I'm glad that
Yeah.
finally got to have you on. Like I told you before, super proud of everything that you're doing. I'm happy that I was one of the first people to adopt the hashtag, and I'm gonna use it as much as I can. I haven't been posting lately, been a little bit busy traveling, doing a couple of different
Yeah,
things.
man,
Need to
doing
get
your
back to
thing.
posting and stuff. But man, this has been great. Before we go, let everybody know how they can find you on Instagram, how they can, be a part of the group and do the things that you're doing.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I'll take like 20 seconds to give you your flowers, bro. Like, again, man, just as much as you're proud of me, I'm equally as proud as you. I know hit you up all the time with like just telling you, man, great job, great interview. I've seen this platform grow. It started off small, and now you have people working with you on it, and it's amazing to see, bro. So please continue to do that. And not only that, you're a black journalist who's a proud black journalist in this space. I see you go to those conferences. I see that you take that serious and covering the sport that you cover. A lot of kids need to see that. So, salute to you, bro. For me, we worked out today is we worked spelled WORKED out OUT today, all one word. That's my Instagram. I got other, but that's like my baby. So, follow us there. And again, even if you're not into fitness or even if it's just daily, I try to motivate you, and not just on the physical level, but on the mental level, because in order to be physically strong, you have to be mentally strong. And you could take that whatever you do. So, yeah, we worked out today. Follow me there, and that will kind of like lead you to the other things that I'm doing. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, bro. Again, this is a great conversation, and I hope whoever listens to this really takes heed in what we're talking about and understand that, man, college friendships, man, college people you meet in college, man, cherish those relationships, please, because you just never know where your paths can cross again. Ryan treated me. I've never felt like an underclassman when I was around Ryan. He never tried the whole, I'm this big junior. See, nah, so I appreciate you for that, bro. Thank you for not hazing and making me feel like a young boy and treating me like an equal and allow me to grow at Wilkes University. So salute to you, bro.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Athletes to Athletes podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. To engage with everything the A2A platform has to offer, go to the App Store and search Athletes to Athletes to download our new app. You can check out our educational material, and you'll ensure that you don't miss when a new episode of the A2A podcast drops. Again, thank you for listening. We'll see you again next time.